Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot and welcome to today's reading. So, we are looking at a situation where your person is kind of headed your direction, likely to communicate or to communicate a little bit more deeply, but under some pretty heavy triggering and feeling unhealed. So, some of the behaviors that come your way are maybe not some of the ones that, you would characterize as their best. But I also see that there's a lot of lesson, a lot of healing, a lot of potential that happens in here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into this one. It'll be a general reading, as always, for this collective. So it won't resonate with everyone, as I'm fond of saying, it shouldn't resonate with everyone. But if it does resonate with you, maybe think about subscribing. And also, if this is something that has helped you, if you've been watching these, hit like so that other people will be able to find it as well. So we're going to go ahead and start here with the Good Tarot. I thought that this one would probably be a good place to start, and then we'll clarify with the Spirit Song. And I thought I'd go ahead and introduce them. A few days ago, somebody was asking about the decks that I was using, and I thought, well, I don't mind to go ahead and introduce them when I can remember to do so. I used to do that every day, but this one's the Good Tarot. The other one's going to be the Spirit Song. So if you're interested in either one, they're pretty easy to come by. A quick search will get you what you're looking for, but just in case you're ever curious what they are. So we're going to jump in with the energy that is flowing between the two of you, but heavy on their energy, which has been a fairly winning direction for us. So we've got that Hermit card now coming out in the reverse. We've seen a lot of it coming out in the upright. Your person has been doing a little of kind of their version of soul searching. So it may not quite look like yours, but it does look like it's a little bit deeper than what we will sometimes see them go. So we also have the Transformation card that has come out here in the reverse. And what I see here, so that's the same as traditionally the Death card in the usual tarot there, and that's a sense of transformation. Absolutely. So transformation is kind of the big picture. The Death card signifies the rebirth, the death and rebirth, the overall cycle that happens there. And so this card is about that, but it's about resisting that or not getting all the way to a place of transformation. Something is trying to change but doesn't have the opportunity to. And with this Eight of Fire, that slow moving energy that feels like stagnation to your person, but it's holding things, it feels like it's kind of holding things in place. So they're feeling a little bit trapped, a little bit kind of held in place. They feel like things are stagnant around them, even though it may be more just kind of a matter of perspective. So then here with this is, we've got the Nine of Feathers. So in this deck, the feathers are wind energy, air energy. So that's like, I was just about to say arrows, which is another one of my decks. It's like swords, it's air energy. And with a Nine of Air, it is very much a feeling of anxiety. There's a feeling of anxiety, but there's also a feeling of having some idea of, like, they're anxious for a reason. There's anxiety for a reason. It's not unfounded. Now here with the Eight of Acorns, that is a desire to move quickly and maybe a desire to push things along a little bit quickly. So it counteracts this Eight of Fire here, which is saying, hey, things are slow moving, sort of gummy energy, so that you can't move quickly, so that hopefully you can gather some perspectives to you. We've seen some evidence of that. But really, I think instead your person wants to be in control of the situation. There's a strong movement toward balance, but what they're not realizing is that this piece that they've got to interpret or they've got to understand is actually holding them a little bit from that balance that they're looking for. So what ends up happening is they're not able to release themselves from something. So when they try to take off in a new direction, they kind of aren't able to do so. It's like they're they're tied to the location where they are, and they're unable to get up and fly away. There's something like that. I'm also, so I'm definitely getting a sense that this is temporary. and something about how there's discomfort as they're reevaluating some things, and there's discomfort as they are sort of getting reoriented. And we know that, like I was saying, in the extended, basically they have bounced from that greatest area of discomfort, which was the third party. But when they get comfortable with you, then do you become the new greatest area of discomfort? And that was the thing that they've got a few things here that they've got to resolve before they're able to come up with a suitable answer to that. Because at this point, there's a lot of shifting, so it's really difficult to say. But it's really the answer to that it comes down to some learning that they need to go ahead and finish doing. So I get the sense that they've got a lesson that is partway there, but they've just got to go ahead and wrap it up and figure out how to internalize it. And we've talked about that before. We've talked about being able to internalize lessons. Having the information is not necessarily the same as being able to use it. So here we have the Six of Crystals. Crystals are earth energy in this deck. And the Six of Crystals is about equal give and take. It's about equal back and forth energy, balance, once again, seeking that balance. We see a lot of energy of seeking balance, but one of the other things that I feel in this is a regret for times where the energy wasn't equal, and a feeling of being kind of overwhelmed when they think about coming back and making it right. It's easier just not to. Now with the King of Crystals, I love this being in the upright, because I think they had a little bit of a weekday yesterday, like a day of weakness, where yesterday they were feeling like they weren't really, like they're not necessarily worth what they're asking of you. And they are absolutely asking for your attention in this energy. They are asking for your engagement. We've got the Eight of Feathers here in the reverse. This is the energy that allows them to reach out, that allows them to send a message and allows them to hit send on some things. And so in some cases, you've got messages coming that are potentially going to be difficult for you to figure out, well, now, wait a minute, what does this person mean? Do I take this at face value, or is there more to this and I need to be thinking about that? It may not be immediately clear, but it is also something that is shifting, like I was saying, with this person's energy shifting the way that it is. By the time you respond to them, they may already be in a different enough emotional place that it may feel like they're constantly switching it up on you as they communicate with you. So let's look in a little bit more deeply to understand what you need to know, because we saw that there was very disarming energy coming your way, but also, an opportunity to find out how much healing you did while they were off missing you. So when you hear from them, you're going to be able to feel that pain that comes from them, that is like radiating off of them. And I think I said something to that effect when I got into the extended, which is what kind of generated the name of that video yesterday, because it seems really important. As they come to you, it feels like that feeling of a loose cannon, that energy of a loose cannon, and something about it doesn't feel comfortable. Something about it feels like it's kind of not quite right. And that's the nature of it, with being so unhealed. We saw that they were going to have, when we got into the extended, we saw that they kind of had this inconsistent energy, but it could stand to play out in a couple of different ways. They might not disappear right away. So looking into seeing, what their energy is today. And I think that we are going to have to get into some divine masculine messages before too long. Maybe that's what we'll do in tomorrow's reading, to understand kind of what they would tell you if they had the opportunity to do so. So here's the thing. Some of them do have the opportunity to do so, but that's not necessarily what they're doing with that opportunity. That we have them not necessarily getting into the conversation, but instead just sort of making their presence known. And there's some value in that, make no mistake. But by the same token, it's it's not a very productive like way to have a conversation. There needs to be more to it than simply saying, yes, I'm here. Yes, I remember. Yes, I think about you. Yes, I miss you. You know, those types of things. So we have the Six of Air here. That's that moment of clarity that needs to take place. And I feel like this would be a great time for that moment of clarity. So if you're able to get this with them at this time, the only thing is, it's like you've got this moment of clarity that is being combined with a very strong desire that they have no idea how to get out from under. And with this Four of Earth, it really does it feels like not being able to get out from under it. It feels like something that they need to let go of, but they don't know how. It's almost like the Devil card, where it almost takes, like, has a power over them or has some kind of control over them. So here we have, with the Hierophant in reverse, they are rejecting something that they've been told, some sort of wisdom that they've been given. They are essentially rejecting it and going off script. There's a sense of them going off script, and then here with the Seven of Acorns, feeling like they're making some sort of mistake that they have no idea how to resolve. This is a very, you know, I mentioned the loose cannon concept earlier, and I feel that pretty strongly here with them. And we also have the Five of Feathers. So this is, I'm trying to figure out like how to describe this energy. It's not, it's very single-minded. It's very focused. It is not necessarily a lot of empathy, though, and that's what kind of bothers me about it. It's got a very focused vibe, but not always like well thought out. And with this lack of confidence here, you could stand to see some decisions that are being made that are a little bit, that are coming across, that are not coming across especially well. So we've got the Knight of Shells here. This is in the upright, the descriptors down here at the bottom are charm and passion. And I think that charm is exactly what it seems like is missing here. So there's something that doesn't come across the way that they mean for it to come across. It comes across as a little bit too needy, or a little bit too desperate, or a little bit like we saw with one of the readings before, that you're seeing beneath the surface a little bit more than what you might ordinarily be. You may not like what you see when you get in there. I mean, you're seeing the reality of a person, so it may be that some of your illusions are simply, you no longer get to hold those illusions. With the Ace of Shells here, the emotion starts to bear itself, and you have to figure out, you're going to determine, not just with this new soulmate that you have coming in that's going to teach you some things, you're going to determine that the emotion can actually be relatively heavy. It can do more than just lift you up, which is historically kind of maybe how you felt about it. Here you're going to discover that it has more of a weight to it sometimes, and the implications of emotions can be something very important. We have the Queen of Acorns here, though, so all of a sudden, all I can say here is be careful, because that's an awful lot of passion. It's an awful lot of passion with knowing exactly what it wants and exactly how to get it and exactly how to do it. This is not this passion's first rodeo. I would watch out when this one comes out, because this is a very knowing and capable sort of feeling. You have an Eight of Crystals here, which is dedication. It's mastery. It's moving forward very consistently, but it's actually putting in the time to learn something or to do something. So all of a sudden, something could be outside of your control, and you could have things turned around to where you are becoming the runner and this person becomes the chaser, where you might historically have kind of characterized this as being the opposite, where they were doing the running and you were doing maybe not so much chasing, but that it was thrusting you into that place where you had to determine if you were going to chase going forward. With the Page of Feathers here, I get a feeling that even though there may be some relatively sort of, I want to say, dangerous, deep emotion going on here, you guys are I get this feeling like you're ready for it. I get the feeling that there may be some deep conversations that need to be had and some vulnerability that needs to be shared on both sides. That may be difficult, but I also feel like you guys may be ready for it. I don't know how quickly it happens though, because I feel like with the Hermit card in the reverse and the Chariot here in the reverse, there's a sense of confusion. No, we want the Seven of Shells. For this sense of confusion, there's a sense of confusion and a feeling of not quite knowing how to move things forward, knowing that, okay, so great. Now we've exposed some of this and we've talked about some things that we haven't had the opportunity to talk about in the past. But what does that mean and where do we go from there? And this is where I feel like we need divine masculine messages. So I think that's the message that we're going to do tomorrow, or the reading that we're going to do tomorrow, is to kind of get into some of those divine masculine messages, because I feel like there's a strong need for that. There's confusion. They've got confusion here, not sure which way to go, and they haven't spent enough time. We see the Hermit here and here in the reverse. There's a feeling of having kind of come up for air after being in that place where they were seeking wisdom, they were seeking understanding, and they've gotten some of that, but they also are feeling a little overwhelmed with what they've seen. So they kind of want to have an opportunity to bounce it off of you. That's what some of this communication is, but you don't see it go as deep as maybe it needs to right off the bat. I do get a sense that maybe it starts to move in that direction, and that's what we're seeing here. I, again, don't feel like that happens super quickly. So tomorrow we're going to jump in and maybe get a little bit of a sneak preview on what they're trying to say. So we'll do a divine masculine messages reading, and that one is usually somewhat helpful. So we'll be sure to tune in for that one. I'm not going to do an extended on the end of this one today, because it doesn't feel like we need to continue on with this line of messaging, because I think we need to wait for the divine masculine messages. That's kind of the sense that I get. But let's get some messages for you. Let's find out what the area of focus needs to be for you, given what we see here on this table and based on where you are at this point in your healing. So I know some of you are only listening to this part of the reading anymore because you're less concerned about what's happening with your person. There's a need for balance. There's a need for balance, and there's a need for doing things that bring you closer into balance. So there's a realization that everything that you do brings you into a place where you are becoming the person that you will be, whatever that means. So you may become several different things across the course of a lifetime, but you're constantly shifting and constantly becoming what you're going to be next. So it's about the decisions that you make. It's about the way you make your decisions. You're being encouraged to think things through as well as to feel things through, so that you get a feel for what that mix needs to feel like. Definitely move toward the balance, and every time you have the opportunity to make a decision, make sure that you're making a decision that throws you into a place where, or moves you into a place where you're going to better be able to benefit, or you're going to be able to help. So with this Fool card, it's definitely saying, okay, so if the opportunity has not already happened, you can expect it to be pretty much upon you at this point. There's something here that you need to go ahead and do. Might feel like you don't have the time or energy to take it on. Think it through, because it is something that may look like you'd have to thread a needle in order to do it, but it turns out that things just sort of, the sea parts and you're able to get to it. So watch for it, because there's more than one opportunity coming your way. You don't necessarily want all of them, but you do want the ones that make the most sense and seem like they flow the best. So sometimes the things that flow the best still are going to require a little bit of work to get them to line up. So watch for that. Watch for needing to do that work. Do it with good attitude. You've got the Nine of Crystals here. This is an organized attitude. This is a good feeling of understanding exactly where you come from, knowing that you're standing on good, solid ground, emotionally solid ground. That's an emotionally independent kind of energy that comes out there with the Nine of Crystals. Because remember, the crystals are earth energies. That's like a Nine of Pentacles, a Nine of Earth. Now you have an Ace of Crystals. This is a door that you are not opening. You need to make sure that You do open it. Okay. So this is the door within you that we sometimes talk about. We sometimes hear that advice to keep the door open. Allow your person to walk through it, but don't watch to see when they're walking through it. This is a matter of making sure that you actually are leaving that door open, because there may be something about it that would insinuate it is not open. You would be broadening your possibilities and broadening what could come your way by leaving yourself open. So we have the continued advice at this time to keep your heart and your mind open in all of the ways that you know how to do. That advice just keeps coming. Watch for places where you have a tendency to say, oh, that doesn't apply to me, or oh, that's not something I would ever do. Watch for that, because there's something here that's an opportunity that you are missing and don't realize that you are missing. So now we have a 3 of feathers that is, it feels very much like moving to a place where something good can happen. That's kind of what this is. So the 3 of feathers is the same as 3 of swords, and oftentimes it has to do with sadness. It has to do with heartbreak. I don't get the sense in this case, but what I do feel like is there may be some release that is required. In fact, yes, on the bottom here it does say release. It says release and recovery, and I would say that the way that this feels, it is release so that recovery is going to be a possibility. That's really what comes through in that energy. That's a very nice energy, but not necessarily one that is super easy to understand when you're on this end of it, because on the other end, it's really obvious. Oh gosh, this is exactly what I needed. But on the front end, it may be looking at something and say, I don't know about this, which is kind of what I was hearing here with the 10 of acorns. When it feels like an excuse that you don't have the opportunity to do something because X, Y, or Z, and X, Y, or Z feels like an excuse, you need to think about whether that's really true, because it may be a matter of needing to release, and it maybe even release some things so that you'll be able to take on an opportunity. So you've got the 4 of crystals here. This is about letting go of something. I think we were just talking about it. Feels like letting go of control. Feels like letting go of something that just too much holding on. There's too much holding on, and there's a need to release. We see that need appear with your person as well. We also see the 6 of feathers come up. So this same 6 of wind, or yeah, I think it was 6 of wind that came up over there, and it had to do with that moment of clarity. When this moment of clarity happens, take your time with it, because this is something that's going to benefit you as well. There's a need for you to have some alone time, or maybe taking some time like off walking by yourself, or just kind of being by yourself. You've got a new and balanced sort of way of looking at things, a new and balanced sort of way of managing your life that seems to be emerging, and there's something very healthy and very good about it, but it's not something that happens overnight. So you're going to want to cultivate it. This is maybe an opportunity to write some things down and see if reading them in a different state of mind is helpful to you. So writing them down when you first wake up, reading them when you're going about your day, maybe something like that. So since I'm not going to extend this one, I do want to give you your oracle card, something that I typically do at the end of the extended, but this is advice for you. I love doing this card. It's my favorite part of the reading, because it's like it takes into consideration everything that's been said and then gives you a message that says, all right, here, I'm going to pick something out that you really just need to hear right now. And so that's what we're getting you. We're getting you a card that gives you what you need to hear right now. Whether it's about your person or this new soulmate that's coming in, or maybe it's just something that is deeply about you. Something that's helpful in your focus. So we've got new beginnings. Okay, so fascinating. All right, so this is all about finding the path to the new beginnings, that you are finding a path. You are finding a path to something new. I keep kind of seeing that over here. But with the new beginnings card, it really is about embracing something. So it's about getting past any kind of excuses or rebuttals that may be coming up for you, and really embracing this concept of new beginnings, embracing the idea of something new coming your way that is going to adjust the way that you look at things going forward will not be the same because of the opportunities that are coming your way at this time. You're going to look back on this time in your life and say, this is when it all changed, you know? So we've seen evidence of that before. We've seen it coming out in the readings, and this is that pivotal time. So new beginnings really are your focus and something to put a lot of your energy and your joy into. So, I'm going to go ahead and stop there. We're going to get into divine masculine messages tomorrow, get a feel for kind of what's happening with them and what they would tell you if they had the ability to pick it out, articulate it, and the ability to tell you, and especially the ability to tell you without having to deal with the repercussions of that. So that'll be tomorrow's reading, and I look forward to seeing you there.